What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network for Week 5 of the 2021 season. And with me today, we've got I almost said a trio, but it's a trio not including me. But we got myself, of course. We got Jordan. We got Mafale, of course. But then we got Cody, our special guest on the show. What's going on, you guys?
What's up? Cody is actually not with us right now.
Oh God.
Cody's a surprise random guest. He'll pop in
Yeah.
at some random point
So
and really just.
we may get him to pop in later in the episode. So if he shows up, act surprised. But
Oh, you'll be surprised. You won't even expect him coming. He's just gonna just jump in.
Like,
Yeah, we're not even gonna announce it. We're just gonna let him jump right in.
Oh man, but no, we got some Week 5 news notes coming into the week and stuff hanging from last week, and then of course we get our game of the week and our matchups. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be another great episode. No crazy curveballs, but we may have something new for you guys next week in Week 6. Just because it's Jordan's favorite number and he likes to do special things involving that number. I just made that up. I don't know. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I don't like that number.
I don't like that number. I hate it. But I guess we can start with some of our news and notes. Mafali, if you want, I'll let you kick off the trade section.
Yeah, I mean, even though I was only involved in one of them, but everybody knows who the big one was this week, and that's Jameson. And he made a funny comment. He's like, "Am I doing this tank thing right?" And he did a pretty good job. I mean, he got rid of everybody for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were surprised, and I, myself included, just to see him give up so fast. I mean, 1-3 is nothing you can't come back from. I even actually messaged him. I was like, man, for the only team to ever go 0-5 and still make the playoffs, I thought you might still have a little hope. And he was like, no, I just don't feel it this year. He's like, I'm just going to go all out and just go out for the future. And I was like, all right, I understand. So, did a nice job. So the first trade he made was with Eddie. He actually made 2 with Eddie. The second one was the smaller one where he accepted a trade for Teddy Bridgewater and a 4th-round pick in 2023 for Kirk Cousins. So Eddie really locking himself in for the long haul here. He's traded a lot of his 2022 and 2023 picks. So we know he will be around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if not, we have to get him to pay, obviously. I know Charles had to do the same. So, but he also made a trade with Eddie, which was a little bit bigger of a one, where Eddie traded Elijah Mitchell his 2nd-round 2023 and his 3rd-round 2023. So now Jameson has all 3 of those, and I have his first. So he doesn't have any of those first 4 next year. So, but credit to him for trying to just really build this roster. He got Joe Mixon, and he gave up he also got a 5th-rounder in 2023 from Jameson. So, I credit Eddie for trying to really just build this roster as much as he can. We'll get to another trade with him in a minute. But the next trade here that I'm seeing is a 2023 2nd from Jameson for Terry McLaurin and a 2022 4th.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. That's actually the 2nd is from Peyton, and then Jameson's going to get McLaurin. Or no, sorry. Yeah, Peyton's going to get McLaurin in the 4th, and Jameson's getting the 2023 2nd.
I don't know if people realize how valuable 2023 picks are.
Obviously Jameson does.
Yeah,
that's
Jameson
all he went
does.
for.
Yeah. We talked
especially
about
early
this.
ones.
Yes, man.
Yeah, the early ones more so than the later ones, but so I messed it up a few times, so I'll say it one more time. Jameson getting a 2023 2nd from Peyton for McLaurin and a 2022 4th. So, and the next one here is the really, really big one with BP, which is the one which really shook things up. I know on the other podcast, they were just all talking about how BP is just going to take over now. I can kind of see that, but in the end, it always comes down to injuries, so you want to have depth. But this one, Jameson gave up Josh Allen, Myles Garrett in the 2022 6th and sent them to BP, who already had a very good team, for Kirk Cousins, Alquandin Muhammad, 2023 1st-rounder, and a 2023 5th-rounder. So Jameson, like we said earlier, really just going all out for the 2023 picks here, which makes sense. I understood why he was doing it, and but really gave up two great players there. And BP's team is scary now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
that was a
stacked.
bombshell. I think it was Sunday night, was it not? And Jameson just started blowing up his whole team. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that
The
was
games
the
weren't
biggest
even over
bomb
yet,
going off.
and he's getting
Yeah, no, I'm
guys
still going.
locked.
All these next ones are still going through. Like, I think Pat and Eddie are going to be the last one of the night, but there were still a couple more after that, and that was the big one of the night for sure. I mean, BP added two players who are top 5 of their position, especially fantasy wise. So
Yeah, and I know Jameson had been shopping Josh Allen for a couple weeks just from being in some discussions with him myself, but
yeah, no
he
doubt.
finally pulled the trigger, and I actually wanted him to wait until this week to do it in case I wanted back in on the sweepstakes, but he was pretty gung-ho about the rebuild starting Sunday evening.
Yeah, right. He really was wanting to get those through. So, and then the next one here I made with Alex. Alex got Robert Woods, CJ Mosley in the 2022 third. I got Richie Grant, which for Alex was really just trying to get rid of a rookie that he drafted that he couldn't get rid of. A guy that really wasn't good who I ended up cutting. And then I got a 2023 first. So I was in the same mode as Jameson, obviously, just, future. I gave up my only player who's been performing well in CJ Mosley. So that's where I'm at.
You could still give up Trevor.
No, that's a no-go for anybody listening. Like, I'm not giving up my free keeper this year. Like, that just has a ton of value to me. So
I'm on the same fence with Collins, man. Like, he hasn't done anything all year, but I keep thinking in my head, like, dude, Jordan Hicks is there like one more year tops. Like, maybe
Yeah.
doesn't even finish the year out. And I'm like, dude, Zaven Collins would be free, literally free. If I just stick it out,
yeah,
like,
but you're in a much different position than me too. Like, I have no reason to get
Yeah.
rid of Trevor. Like, if I get rid of Trevor, I'm not going to start winning like games. Like, I would have probably won at least like one of the games, like the games earlier, if I didn't have Trevor. But it's too late now. Like, I'm already out of contention. Like, there's no way I'm going to come back, and I've already given up too much of my team. So just going to hold on to him. But in your situation, you're contending. It's a roster spot. And then in this kind of league, like, it is very tough to sit on a roster spot that's not being used
yes.
like pretty consistently, So I definitely could see why that's a predicament in your situation.
Yeah.
Still good strategy though, and I guess if anybody out there doesn't know it, and they're debating on trying to hang on to a rookie, but we're referring to being able to keep a rookie that was taken in the rookie draft for free without using like a slot. So keep that in mind when you're deciding whether to move these guys that you may have taken.
Yeah, in the rookie draft specifically. If you got a
Yes,
rookie
yes.
in the regular draft, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Or if you just picked him up, obviously. But yeah, he had to be drafted in the rookie draft. But and then there's one more trade to cap off the night, which is another big one. Like, this really was a huge night of trades. It was Amari Cooper and Sean Chandler going from UPAT, from the Roebuck Leprechauns, and they were going to Two Girls One Cup Eddie, and he gave up Marvin Jones and Justin Simmons. So, two big name players in that trade, what I see involved in Cooper and Simmons, and then actually a very, very solid player, especially stock way up since DJ Chark's out for pretty much the rest of the year, and Marvin Jones for Sean Chandler, who I don't have a clue who he is. So, yeah, I mean, that is,
it would take a Panther
another
fan.
big trade.
Only a Panther fan would know Sean Chandler, and he's the backup free safety in Carolina, who's only playing because Justin Burris is out.
Yeah.
But he in his first game in, he killed it, and that's why I got him off free agency last week. Is because I knew he'd have a good week. I didn't start him, so I didn't need to, but I just like having depth at certain positions. That's one of them I like to have a lot of depth at is DBs.
Patrick's bragging at that he gave away a bench player.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but man, he still did give up the big name Amari Cooper. But it's interesting because I know the week before we talked about the trade where, Eddie gave up, who was it? Jamar Chase to get Justin Simmons. But he got a pick swap too, so he actually moved up 2 rounds in next year's draft to do it.
Yeah.
So like that, he does still have that, but essentially he traded, Jamar Chase for Amari Cooper in a sense, So
and if there
the Marvin Jones is a big piece too. I think that's a great ad for you, Pat. So
Yeah, and when we made the trade, that was a guy I told him I was interested in. I like his ceiling this year. Or sorry, his floor. I'm not exactly sure what his ceiling is going to be, but I think his floor is relatively safe. Yeah, I won't talk too much about my own trade, but I was happy with it. I'll just put it that way.
yeah. And then there was one last trade that was just like, I think I might have mentioned it earlier. Yeah, I did with Jamison and Eddie. That was the second one where they traded quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So and that was all the trades. So I know that was a lot this week for sure, but this was a big week of tanking, especially. But Jamison put on a show for us this week. Put on a clinic. So I was loving it. I thought it was exciting. I thought there'd be more counters. I'm sure there were behind the scenes, but I thought maybe one would get accepted, but nope, nothing big enough to really get accepted. So
I was surprised by that too. But we'll keep it rolling, so we don't eat up too much time. We have plenty of time to talk about the games. If you didn't already know, if you haven't heard of LCC After Dark, that is our other podcast that we have for the LCC. They call themselves kind of the less serious podcasts of the league, and they have some really good content. Actually, they run. I used to say they run longer than us, but honestly, the past couple weeks we've been going just as long. I've been trying to avoid that, but it doesn't seem we can trim the content down. There's just too much. But yeah, definitely check them out if you haven't already. They've got a good show going, and we'd like to see that show grow.
Check them out.
Check them out. So our other news, we'll just quickly run through some big injuries. Jalen Smith is not injured, but is now a Packer. Stephon Gilmore is a Panther, and I'm so excited about that. Montgomery and then Mixon are both out. CMC is practicing again, so that's very hopeful for Panther fans and for Billy. Fields is now the official starter. Antoine Winfield is in concussion protocol, so probably gonna miss this week, but I would imagine he'll be back the following week or the week after that. And then you got Shaq Thompson, who is banged up as well, but I don't think that's as serious from what I've been reading. So that's
Yeah,
good.
he is going to be out a couple weeks though.
Okay.
And backing up just to Justin Fields becoming the starter, Jameson scooped him off the waiver wire today too, so that was big.
yeah, big part of the rebuild right there. I'm sure.
Well, I
see
actually don't think he was a waiver claim, but he picked him up.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was a free agent ad, so
Yeah.
even better. But I'll say it right now. I'm almost positive you'll see Justin Fields be kept this year. So
definitely,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. He'll be a cheap keeper too for next year. So
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, at this point, you might as well root for him to underperform just a tad. Like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, even if he performs well, like he could probably get to like 300 points if he played really well, which would
Yeah.
still be a relatively mid-round keeper, which you'll take every day of the week. So
yeah, it'll be cheap enough worth keeping, in my opinion. I know Jameson doesn't typically like to keep a quarterback. Honestly, I could see him, even if he cost him a 4th-round pick, I could see Jameson still trying to swap quarterbacks again like he did this year.
yeah, if Fields balls out, just try to trade him one more time.
Yeah. Other news,
you go.
Amusement Park was the fastest to reach 5,000 scored in divisional play. He did it in 21 games, which broke Detroit Bad Boys' record of 22 games. So congrats to Peyton. Super exciting. I will compliment that by saying that, of course, scoring has changed over the years drastically. In fact, we were joking around that the lowest scoring victory in LCC history was 2012, and the winner scored 66 points. That's right. It was a big deal at one point when he broke 100. That tells you how crazy scoring has changed over the past decade in the LCC. So, definitely congrats. It's a big accomplishment. But also, I keep in mind, scoring's changed a little bit. And then the other big record that was broken was Matt broke Storm's record for most conference losses in league history, which is 64. Beg for G-Rag tied Peyton, Game of Jones, which was Kyle, for those that don't remember him, back in 2018, and Hunter for the fastest to reach 5,000 points in conference play in 21 games. So, again, Peyton broke it for divisional, Beg for G-Rag. BP broke it for conference play. So, a little bit different there. And then our last news, Cody wins to avoid extending his losing streak to Jordan, is that he has tied for second all time, or he avoided tying?
Yeah,
second all time?
he tied for second all time, so that's where it stopped. But he was 2 losses away from tying
Congrats,
first
Cody.
all time.
You avoided
We
it.
snapped that.
Yeah, I know. Now the pressure's on me. I'm going to be the guy to break it.
You
So I was
are.
really hoping Cody could just keep going and there'd be less pressure on me.
All
But
eyes
now I'm
are
going
on
to
you
just,
now.
yeah, I'm sure I'm close on there, but we'll get to that hopefully never, but maybe in the
Hopefully
future. So.
never.
Right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our LCC game of the week for week 5. And it was already announced, but it is without a doubt, you can't even argue against it. The Spurs
Oh
versus
yeah,
Lautaro
this one is an
Lobos.
easy one this week.
3-1, 3-1. One guy's been here since the beginning. One's a young and upcoming GM in the league who has done outstanding this year in rebuilding his franchise from last year. He definitely made some rookie mistakes that I'm sure Alex would admit to, but he's learned a lot. He has learned a ton, and I'm excited to see what he does this year and going forward because he's proven himself that he can hang with some of the big boys. I mean, he's got his division. In fact, he's doing so well in divisional play that Jameson threw in the cards early, as we talked about earlier. So whenever you can make a veteran like that throw in the towel that quick, I mean, you're doing something right. So keep it up, Alex. That's super exciting. But our game of the week, guys, I'm going to run through some fun facts before we start diving into the matchups and everything. But to start it off, they've never played each other, so of course the series tied 0-0. The Spurs have won back-to-back divisional titles and Little Critter Bowls, which is pretty impressive. Cameron's
He
only
wins
won
them tatters.
That's right. Cameron's only won he's only won his division 5 times in the past 11 seasons, but 2 of those have come in back-to-back years the past 2 years, so that's pretty big. Libertad Lobos won the McDonald's Bowl game in 2020, which is no longer a thing anymore in the league after 2020 bowl games. It was kind of short-lived. Went from like 2017, I think 2017 or 2016 to 2020. So we won that. It was our lowest bowl game that we had, the worst one. Other fun fact, Cameron has a losing record to 13 out of 36 different GMs he's played against. So that's good. I mean, that's literally half the guys he's played against, he has a winning record against. And I want to say, if I remember right, 5 of those 13 or 3 out of those 13, he'd only played once. So, I mean, like, you count an 0-1 record? You know what I mean? Like, you only had one chance to play that person before they quit or whatever.
It still counts.
It still counts. I'm sure that's what Cameron's saying right now as he's listening.
Yeah.
The other fun fact, if Alex can finish the regular season with 7 wins, then he'll have the 14th highest winning percentage record in LCC history. And that's with a minimum of 22 games played. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. I would just start off in your first 2 years and you're already 14th in winning percentage. You know, most people in our league struggle that first year. I mean, typically, like, the most you see a rookie GM in this league win is like 7 games. There's been a couple exceptions there. We've seen rookie GMs make the playoffs before and etc. But typically, it's about 7 wins. There's a learning curve, especially since we do let people who have never done IDP before join our league. And if you've never done IDP before and it's a keeper league and you're inheriting someone else's players, like, you know, it can be hard to decipher, you know, who's a valuable IDP player if you've never even done IDP before. So,
yeah, it's ironic you say that though, because we have 2 guys that joined this year that were in that same exact boat, never played IDP. They're both rookies, but both 2-2 to start the year. So, you know, could potentially see one of them get to 7 wins this year, if not both.
Playing well.
That's right.
Yeah,
and it's interesting
for sure. So
because both of them, you know, they inherited some pretty bad teams. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Especially CJ, the owner of
God, yeah.
What is it? I'm sorry, I can't believe I'm blanking on his team's name.
Bringing Rexy
back.
Bringing
Rexy back. So the owner of Bringing Rexy back, CJ. So, you know, his team, you know, was awful. But I know we got to get back to the game of the week here. So,
the other thing, real quick, Alex's rookie season, he went 5-7. So we talked about that earlier. Typically, most rookies don't win more than 7 games. He got 5, so that's pretty average. The Spurs' first team name was Team Nugent in 2010 before he changed it to the Spurs in 2011. So it hasn't always been the Spurs. The last fun fact, Libertad Lobos currently is on a 3-game winning streak, which I think is his longest winning streak ever in the league. His personal best, so congrats to him. But that's pretty much all our fun facts heading into the Week 5 Game of the Week matchup. And I guess we can start off with Cameron's team, guys, since it's the first graphic up here. You got Tom Brady, Derrick Henry, Chris Godwin, Quentin Williams, Joe Schobert, Jalen Ramsey and Jesse Bates on his lineup at the moment, as I'm talking right now on Wednesday night. What are you guys' thoughts about this lineup we got here? I mean, it's almost perfect. I mean, I will say I'm not too crazy about the defense. Joe Schobert, since going to Pittsburgh, it hasn't worked out as well. It's probably his worst season he's ever had. But, he's also been a perennial great in the LCC, so take that with a grain of salt. And, I'm obviously the biggest advocate for starting safeties over corners, but in Cameron's case, he doesn't have a lot of depth there, so he's going Jalen Ramsey. But he's played well, so why not trust the numbers?
Yeah, exactly. Jalen Ramsey's played well. I mean, you always assume that a guy like him, who's so locked down, wouldn't get as many points because he's not getting, tackles. He's really just getting more pass deflections, which aren't worth as many, or he's just not getting targeted at all because he's so good. But he's actually pretty good off the ball. You see a lot of corners nowadays have to make tackles on, just getting off their defender. Like a lot of teams might play zone or, mix it up. But, corners are scoring points at times. So I agree that safeties are the more consistent, but in terms of Cameron's lineup as a whole, the fact that his weakest point is Jalen Ramsey. I mean, when you hear the name, like obviously you're like, oh wow, that's not bad at all. I mean, but it's IDP, but still, I mean, he's been consistent and he should get you at least a floor of 20 points, like you said. So pretty high floor, which is just great for any lineup. You don't want to have those guys who get 0, which I know hurt Slapdicks last week in a big matchup against Cameron. So sometimes you just got to go with the guys are going to be safe and not get you 0. So I really, really love his lineup this week. He's obviously got one of the best teams again, so he could easily go for the 3-peat. But I like his team a lot. I don't know if we're doing picks yet, but that's what I think about Cameron's team.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this matchup is probably more even than most people are going to think this week. The interesting thing about it is they both have the quarterback receiver stack, and so I feel like the game might come down to whose stack plays better. And the reason I would start to lean the Spurs, just looking into all the matchups, not that I don't love their matchup, I just am not a fan of, especially offensive players playing on a Thursday night. So he's got his quarterback, his receiver, and a defensive player all playing on Thursday, which I just feel like scoring wise is always quirky with the short week of practice and maybe not getting all the treatment and recovery you need. So that's just what makes me nervous about it. He's got Jalen on the other side with that, but at least it's 1 compared to the 3. So, yeah, I don't know. Are we doing picks?
I was just say breaking Cameron's team down, and then we moved to Alex.
Yeah, you kind of started talking about like
Oh,
But we
yeah,
can
I
go ahead
just
and start
started
talking
talking.
about
I
Alex's
just
team.
started talking about the whole matchup.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, for those who don't know, Alex has gotten it's on everyone's screen right now, but Matthew Stafford at quarterback, Antonio Gibson at running back, Robert Woods at receiver, Daniel Hunter at defensive line, C.J. Mosley at linebacker, Taylor Rapp at DB, and Harrison Smith and the flex at DB. And this defense I like a lot more than Cameron's actually, at least for this week. Dude, Taylor Rapp, Harrison Smith, give me some of that. That right there in itself is great. And then the addition of C.J. Mosley is just a cherry on top, really.
yeah, that's exactly why I think it's gonna keep it close, even with the Thursday game.
Yeah.
But I have reserved making my pick. I did get a little ahead of myself. I apologize. Um,
No,
does
but
anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree about Alex's team. I mean, it makes I would be super nervous about 3 guys going on a Thursday night. I mean, but I mean that's just 1 week, so it's not like you have to worry about that every week. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's just his matchup. Like,
but that's what's going to happen when you have 3 guys on the same team. I mean, they're great players, and there's no reason that all of them can't play well consistently on the same weeks, especially because one of them's on defense.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, he just had like another team that just like both these teams are so solid, man. There's just really no holes. I mean, they're good at every position. I mean, obviously the big thing is Antonio Gibson missed practice again today for that shin, so it's like, is that going to be an issue all year? Like if they stink, are they going to like start resting him a little bit because why risk it? I mean, I know they were in contention last year, but it's been a rough start for them. Luckily, they got that comeback last week against the Falcons, who showed us that they can blow leads still. And just his team is just really good. And so I'm going to do my pick now since we've talked about both teams, and I'm going to pick Alex to win this matchup. So
Okay.
I think it's going to come down to the defense.
All right, yeah, and I'll make my pick. I'm going to take Cameron and the Spurs, and I like Lobo's advantage on defense, but I just think the quarterback receiver on the Thursday might play down a little bit, like I mentioned before, and then Antonio Gibson being not healthy is probably the biggest reason. Like you mentioned, I'm going to go with Cameron here. Just it's already Wednesday and he didn't practice, so it's getting late in the week, and J.D. McKissick has been playing well for the Washington football team. So I feel like with him stepping up and giving production, they'd be more likely, like you said, to give him some rest if it's not going well or if he's not feeling well. So I'm going to lean the Spurs. I will give Lobos a little bonus points for having one of the coolest looking logos in the league, but I'm going to lean with the Spurs.
I do like the Lobos logo, how that turned out. The color scheme, everything about it looks really
Yeah.
good. But so Conference B, the conference that both teams reside in, and that Jordan and I are in, there's only 3 teams that have broken 800 thus far in the season, 800 or more. Sorry. And typically, like my philosophy is, if I'm averaging 200 points a game, which these teams are, then I feel good about my playoff chances. Typically speaking, and compared to the other conferences, like 6. So 9 of the 24 teams are averaging over 200 points a game. Those 9 teams, right now are probably playoff favorites. Well, Cameron is at 830, which is solid. Well, Libertard Lobos is at 885, and to imagine how terrible he did week 1, I think that speaks volumes to how explosive this team has been over the last 3 weeks and why they're in a 3-game winning streak. And I get that it's a weaker division in that division for the Lobos, but at the same time, like when you're putting up those kind of points, it really doesn't matter what your division is. You're probably going to win those games anyways. And I'm kind of like you, Mafali. Like I love the Lobos defense this week. Cameron's defense, I think there's a couple question marks there still that he's got to get resolved. I'd really like to see him acquire a legitimate linebacker this year. Typically, I would say that about Joe Schober, but the defense he's on, it doesn't provide him with consistent volume for tackles. And I think that's kind of why I'm going to lean that way too. Although I love Derrick Henry, and pretty much every given week he's going to put up 40. I think his defense can compensate for the point differential between Gibson and Henry this week. So I'm going to give it to Lobos for our game of the week. So let's keep it moving, y'all. So let's get to our other matchups. And guys, I'm just doing this on the fly. So shoot this down if you want to, but. In terms of, I think this might help us get through these matchups a little bit faster, but also covering some good content. Like, what if basically one of us broke down each matchup? We just kind of rotated each of us, and then the other people just make their picks.
I think that worked well.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
All right, I can give us a brief history, and then if there is any history, and then the other person can run through. So I'll start us off to buy you guys some time. Jordan, Mafali, just refer to the graphic I have. I'm just going to work from the far left down each row and just go like that.
Yep.
So first up, we already did the Spurs, the Libertard Lobos, so we're going to move on to Detroit Bad Boys and primetime players here. This is a big matchup. I mean, obviously, primetime players, we loved at the beginning of the year. Detroit Bad Boys, we loved at the beginning of the year. And I think most people, if they would have looked at this week, at the beginning of the offseason, they would have said, yeah, there's a good chance that this falls in line for game of the week in week 5 without, knowing anything, how it's going to shape up. And it could have been. If primetime players would have been a little bit better. He's 2-2. Detroit Bad Boys 3-1. Detroit's on a 2-game win streak. They've only played each other once. That was week 12 of 2019, where primetime players won 345 to 268, and part of that magical run for primetime and getting to their first ever Little Critter Bowl, which kind of helped spur them on that winning streak throughout the playoffs. So, this is kind of a revenge game for Billy, but also in a tight divisional race, like this is super important that he wins. He cannot afford to lose this, especially to an elite team like Taquan has. It could, go badly. But for this matchup, I mean, when I look at it, a big part of it's the haves and the have-nots essentially. Whereas I compare stuff like Billy seems kind of banged up, right? He doesn't have CMC. He doesn't really have a true running back besides A.J. Dillon going against the Bengals. I know we got 81 yards in Week 4 against Pittsburgh, but correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of it was kind of, garbage time material that came from that. So I don't know if he gets that play that he needs to really keep up with what CH might be able to do. And typically I don't like CH, but the last 2 weeks he's put on a show, man. And I know it's Buffalo, but Buffalo has an offense, and I think Kansas City's you have to keep up, and I think that means CH has a good game. For this, I'm going to actually go Daquan in an upset here.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. Obviously the bad boys would help a lot if McCaffrey played. I saw he practiced in limited fashion today, but without that, even with them, it would be close. But without it, I think it's definitely gonna be Daquan. But so I'm just gonna go with Daquan because I really don't think McCaffrey plays. I think maybe they maybe give him limited for the week and then bring him back next week. I don't know who you guys play this week, if it's a huge game or not, but
We play Philly, but I think he'll get held out. So my quick pick would be going with Daquan.
yeah.
And going back to our last game, he's also got the Thursday stack. So I would just avoid that and say Daquan takes it. Daquan does need to probably replace Carlton Davis in his lineup, though. I don't think he'll play this week.
Yeah, I agree. But that might be a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, if Kari Willis is healthy, then no big deal.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to our next game here, which is Jiu-Jitsu Jesus versus Half Sling Slashers. They played each other twice before. Matt's won both times, Week 8, 2019 and Week 5, 2020. Last time they played was actually both times were close. 319 to 302 in 2019. Fast forward to 2020, 200 to 191. But the issue here is different teams. Matt's lost 3 straight, is 1-3, and Armando is 3-1 and lost his first game last week. And he may win. We're gonna get stat changes in the morning, Thursday morning. So by the time a lot of you listen, who knows? Maybe he's actually 4-0. So, but I'll let one of you guys break this one down.
Who's it going to be?
Whoever's got it up, ready to go. Yeah, you go, Jordan.
All right. I'll take this.
Sorry, I actually just got back. I didn't know. My internet went out for a second, so I broke up.
Okay, yeah. I got the breakdown. So we got Matt and Mondo. So Tannehill going against the Jaguars. I love that matchup, but you got to love Lamar Jackson going against anybody, even though Indy has a few playmakers on that defense. Lamar's always going to get his. This is where is Chris Carson healthy? I'm not sure. I know he's been banged up, but I like Chris Carson.
They're saying
he's questionable. Plus, he's going against that Rams front. They have both the starting running backs in the Thursday game, and you just gotta as a player, I like Chris Carson better, of course, but who's gonna bang their head up against the wall more? I'll take Darrell Henderson going to the Seahawks instead of Chris Carson going against probably one of the most elite defenses in the league, with the best defensive player. I'm a little worried for Matt on the wide receiver. Allen Robinson is a great player. He's just going to be limited as long as I shouldn't say as long as Justin Fields is in the game, but as long as the coaching staff is coaching the team. He's going to be limited with the offense that they're giving Justin. And Mondo's kind of got like a weird flex going on with Cordell Patterson, but I like it. He kind of gets split out everywhere and gets to catch a bunch of passes. Let's see, Aaron Donald, superstar, of course. It'll be boom or bust. Justin Jefferson should be able to get off on that line secondary. Alex Singleton will probably have a pretty good game just off of tackles. I know he's played a good start, and it's one of the players Matt's been excited about that he just found off the street. But Fred Warner will have his hands full, and I think he'll have a good game just because how the Cardinals' offense has been humming for Mondo. So it's pretty even down the board. And the difference makers could be those last safety spots. which are both good. Mondo recently acquired Andrew Wingard, and Eddie Jackson is really nice for the Bears in that secondary. So even across the board, I think, yeah, it's 50-50 on the win probability according to the website, with right now Matt getting a 6-point edge in the projections. But I'm actually gonna flip and pick Hashling and Slashers and Mondo. Couldn't get that out because of the running back matchup and him just having a little softer front to go against. And I think Fred Warner will probably have a. I don't know if the 49ers probably won't win that game, but I think he'll have a good game and maybe be able to force a turnover against the Cardinals. So I'm going to say the Sling and Slashers go at least to 4-1, maybe 5-0 by the time there's a stat change.
I don't think the stat change. I think the stat change would have happened by now, right? Or is that tomorrow?
It's
that it
Thursday
goes
mornings.
Yeah,
usually
Thursday.
between like 8 a.m. and like 10 a.m. It seems like it happens.
Yeah, that's a close one. Yeah, that could definitely come down to a stat change. So, all right, nice.
Cool. Who are you picking?
Oh, so we're still gonna pick. We just won't talk about it.
Yeah,
that's
basically.
fine. I'm gonna pick Hashling Slashers as well.
Okay, I'm gonna go Hashling Slashers too. I just think that team is super loaded this year. They kind of sneakily are one of my favorites to win that division. Even maybe, I don't know if I want to say over Hunter, but he has a good shot at least. I mean, especially if the stat change goes in his favor, I'm definitely going the Slashers here in week 5. All right. Our next matchup, we got Abusement Park versus Mr. 300. There's not much history there. They've only played each other twice. Week 2 of 2019, Mr. 300 defeated Abusement Park 306 to 295 in a very close game. And then in week 9 of 2020, Abusement Park beat him 238 to 187. A little bit of a blowout there. Both teams are not both teams are 2-2. Mr. 300 is 2-2, and Abusement Park is 3-1.
You breaking
want to talk about this one, or Pat? You want to do this one?
You got Armando. Or not Armando. Jesus Christ, my
Oh, geez, yeah, no, I mean, geez, disrespectful, man.
That's disrespectful. Sorry.
No, I'm not just kidding. Yeah, no, this is a great matchup. I'm glad I got this one here because this matchup is. These are two really, really great teams in their own rights. You know, two guys who are going to be competing the whole year. I mean, you look at the quarterback matchup, Dak versus Kyler. I mean, take your pick. You know, both at home. You know, San Francisco obviously the better team, but Kyler's been so electric this year, probably won't even matter. You know, the running back matchup, you got Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor. Again, like, it's almost like a toss-up. Like, who has the better week that week, we'll find out. McLaurin and Allen at wide receiver. Like, you know, I'm just going to keep going on the list here, but it's almost so dead split. You know, Joey Bosa versus Hargrave. I mean, I know, you know, if you're just like somebody who's not huge on IDP, you're going to be like, oh, Joey Bosa for sure. Who's Hargrave? But this Jerron Hargrave has been playing amazing football, been playing great IDP. So that's another, like, split. You know, you got Logan Wilson versus Foyesade Olakone. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but
I just call him Foyer. I think that's what they call him here in Atlanta. It's just Foyer, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Logan Wilson's been going off this year. Foyesade's been pretty solid, so that's a pretty close matchup there. You got Cunningham against Bobby Wagner, which is like, you know, top tier linebackers, you know, both of them. So another great matchup. But then they ended off with their safeties, or, you know, technically the linebackers are their flex. So this is like their safety matchup, Justin Reed versus Tracy Walker, which is another, you know, so, you know, I went through that whole list there, and you could pretty much say almost all of them are splits. But I'm going to give the slight edge here to Mr. 300. I think he's going to squeak it out. I think Bobby Wagner has a pretty solid game on Thursday, eats up a lot of tackles. And I'm going to say Jonathan Taylor has a good game against Baltimore too. So I think he goes off on Monday night.
Okay.
Yeah, quick pick for me. I'm going Mr. 300. I should have got Logan Wilson when I could have earlier in the year.
I think he drafted him though, didn't he?
No,
I almost traded for him.
He like took him in the waiver wire draft, but cut him, but then used his waiver spot on him. So somebody who was ahead of him on waiver, which was pretty much everybody because he was pretty low, could have got him, and me included. And I'm, you know,
fun fact with earlier I traded Jonathan Taylor to Colby, and I got Tremaine Edmonds off of him, and I was really close to making it Logan Wilson instead.
Yeah.
And he was down for either.
Good luck getting Logan Wilson now. You're gonna have to pay a pretty penny, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of the
Yeah.
future of that defense in Cincinnati. I'm going Mr. 300 too. I like the defensive matchups a little bit more. Also, I just think that if you look at Green Bay's running back core, I mean, I know I talked crap earlier about their backup, but it does seem like, God, I guess it's just so late. I'm drawing blank. Sorry. Aaron Jones is questionable right now, technically, and he's been limited. But limited is better than not practicing at all. So, I'll take that. But still, that does give me concerns. Like, what's the snap count like? Going to week 5. So give me Mr. 300. Cool. So we got our next matchup here. We got oops, lost my place. Beg for G-Rag versus I skipped. Mufasa Moneymakers versus the third leg. So many legs and rags in this league. But Mafali, you're playing Charles, and I just noticed there's a typo there in the name. I put the third leg. But you guys have only played each other once, surprisingly. You've both been in the league a long time, I feel like. But the one time you guys played was week 4, 2017. Charles won 265 to 262. I mean, that's a stat change difference right there. But
yeah, it is.
I talked about the haves and have-nots. I mean, you haven't won a game yet. He's undefeated. You were talking about eventually breaking the losing streak record. Hopefully you don't. But this would be a major upset if you win. When I look at both of your matchups here, obviously I'm going to just kind of go ahead and lean towards what I was going to say is that I think he's going to win. And here's kind of why I'm leaning in that direction, at least. When I'm pulling it up, you got Baker versus Trevor. I think that's kind of a wash, really. If Zeke does not play, that would be huge. He is kind of questionable, but I think he probably will. Obviously, I'm taking him over Damian Harris. Tyler Boyd versus Hopkins. Hopkins hasn't really lived up to expectations so far this year, but I still think he'll have a good game. And of course, Tyler Boyd has been solid, so maybe he does keep pace. But DeForest Buckner, and then you got Nick Bosa. Give me Bosa because Lamar Jackson's just so hard to sack at times. Keanu O'Neal, which I'm very interested in. I think this week's going to tell us a lot about how Dallas runs their defense now with Jalen Smith gone. So maybe Keanu, racks up some tackles against the Giants. But Eric Kendricks against Detroit, that's kind of a crappy matchup there. But Kendricks has killed it this year. I think his flex player probably beats out yours as well. I don't know, man. I got to go third leg here. I think based off that, I like his matchups more and just his team overall, honestly. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, there's nothing to be sorry about. I don't even think it's close. My team is not that great, as the record shows. So just got to bite the bullet on that and just hope that, some of the assets that I've acquired for the future just pay off. So that's really my game plan here. But yeah, it's easy third leg. That's my pick. So
okay.
Yeah.
Third leg by 100.
Third leg.
All right. Our next matchup, we got Beg for G-Reg versus New Orleans Voodoo. There's no history there to talk about. But New Orleans Voodoo, or not Alex, sorry, John Viveros, he just got his first career win, so congrats to him. That's great.
Yeah, awesome, dude. That's awesome, John. I mean, I know it was against me, so it was tough for me, but that's pretty cool. So congrats.
And get that monkey off your back, man. All the crap everyone's been talking about, the Jets and New Orleans Voodoo as a whole, I feel like this is good. And honestly, if they come away with a win here, man, it's going to turn some heads. I think people are going to look at this team a lot differently. This is definitely a statement-type game for Voodoo if they can beat Beg for G-Reg in this. But I'm interested to hear Jordan's breakdown of this.
Okay, here it goes. Beg for G-Reg, we mentioned him earlier, pulling off the biggest trade of the week, probably the year. But Josh Allen at quarterback, so not much you can do there to compete with that. Zach Wilson has probably impressed me a little more than I thought coming into this year, just especially playing him that first week with the Panthers. He really got – his numbers might not be there, but he's tougher and more agile than I thought. But Josh Allen is going to go off against Kansas City defense that hasn't seemed to stop anybody yet. So he's going to get his points. So you just hope for Voodoo, Zach paces him. Dalvin Cook, do we know his status?
He's still questionable from what I saw.
That'll be a huge one. I know he's a non-participant today, but if he does play, of course, that brings a whole another level to G-Reg. If he doesn't, I'm guessing he would try to ride Chuba one more time, assuming CMC doesn't play. But I mentioned him. The reason I didn't take Voodoo last week, he's got Tony Jones in the running back spot, and I don't see how
he's got Jacobs on his bench. I'm sure he's going to put Jacobs in this week. I just don't think he's got to his lineup yet this week.
Yeah, and
seeing that.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little distracted.
Cody's gonna win, by the way.
I told you. We weren't gonna introduce him. He was just gonna jump in. What's up, Cody?
Right before he disappears, who you got? Beg for G-Reg and New Orleans Voodoo, Cody.
Oh, beg for G-Reg. It's not even close. I also have been hearing that Peyton's got the best team and everything like that. So, I mean, supposedly he's a juggernaut now at 3-1. I don't know how you can be a juggernaut at 3-1. He did make those trades. I understand that, but we'll see.
Yeah, this isn't Peyton, is it?
This is Billy.
Billy.
BP. This is BP.
Yeah.
It's BP. Yeah, well, sorry, BP. Because I know Billy,
that's what I meant.
Ray goes by Billy.
I meant BP, honestly.
Yeah, sorry,
I don't know why I kept saying Peyton. I meant BP. BP's the one that they are saying's got the roster, right? Is that?
Yeah,
is that
that's him.
You see it
That's him. That's the guy.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about like
He's
their
that guy,
podcast.
pal.
Yeah,
He's that guy.
He's that
No,
guy.
yeah, I'm gonna go BP in this. Like, obviously, he's probably facing one of the worst guys like in the whole entire league. Not his.
Put some respect.
As Pat just said something about the disrespect he's
Yeah.
I know.
What's the disrespect? Like, he's got a couple of good players.
He does have Josh Jacobs coming back now.
Indeed.
Okay.
He's boomer bust. I mean, he's had over 200 in 2 weeks and under 100 the other 2 weeks.
Jesus
That's like
Christ.
ultimate boomer bust.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not good. When I see him on the schedule, I'm like, yes, okay, a dub.
Well, don't catch him on a good week. Nah, I mean, that's, over.
Well, that's
200 is still
anybody
good.
in the entire league, bro. Like,
I'm just saying, over 200 is still a pretty solid week. He's
yeah,
capable.
but I put money on it. Not every single. I guarantee you, every
definitely
single
not.
person in this league busts 200 points at least once in this fucking at least once.
Yeah.
So it's like
Well-
just getting over 200 is not the craziest thing. But I understand what you're saying. It's not like you can't sleep on anybody in this league. At the end of the day, like somebody can. It's fantasy. Somebody can sneak up and grab you. But at the end of the day, like if I'm gonna look to see anybody, it's definitely Voodoo over BP.
Oh, well, that's easy. So I agree, though. BP's my pick. So
Yeah, BP's top
Yeah,
five
I'm
team in
gonna-
the league for sure.
I'll quicken up it and beg for G-Reg.
I'm
yeah,
going
Baker,
beg for
I always say
G-Reg
their name.
too.
But
I'm going to do beg for G-Reg too, but like you said, put some respect to that name. I'm Tony, man, Voodoo's
come
going
on.
to be a problem for some people, and I'm not saying he's going to make the playoffs, but they're
I'll tell you
giving
what.
him a 1% win probability on the website right now. That is wild.
1%.
1%. Someone
If
screenshot
Voodoo
that
wins
right
this
now.
week, if he wins this week, I will automatically pick him next week, regardless of opponent.
Regardless of opponent, that's right. I mean,
Yeah, if BP wins it, I just bought a football card, and it's probably about $100. BP loses, I'll give that football card to Voodoo.
no way. Are you
No, I
serious?
won't. But I just
All right. Well, we're all going BP
All right,
there.
move on.
We all seem pretty positive that's
Yeah.
gonna. But I do think it's gonna be very close. Like I'm talking 10-point game. I'm just gonna say it, 10-point game. Our next matchup, we got Burr's body count versus Hunter of Champions.
not even close, bro.
Not
He's gonna
even
lose.
close.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
not even close. Hunter's about to spank that.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, they've never played each other before. Hunter's undefeated. Burr's body count hasn't won since week 1. And has made some questionable trades here and there along the way, I think, from what I've heard some people say. But, Mafala, you want to break this one down?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, kind of spiteful about this one because, Hunter made those comments last week in the group chat that he only listens to when we talk about his team. So I kind of just want to make it very brief about his team, but I won't since I have to be fair. He does have a great team, though. I mean, Najee Harris, target machine. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. That should be a shootout on Sunday Night Football and a great game. Devontae Adams, great matchup against Cincinnati. Von Miller. I mean, Big Ben's not a hard guy to sack anymore. He doesn't really avoid anybody. Isaiah Simmons, great matchup against a run-heavy 49ers team. Sorensen's just been balling out all year, so I like him. And Quadre Diggs, that could be the one question there on the team. But then going to Burrow's body count, against Green Bay, solid matchup, not great, but it's pretty solid. The two flex is what is like really is what's interesting to me. Like the two running backs on the same team, like I know last week that worked out well, but I'm willing to bet that the majority of the weeks that's not going to be the case. So really tough for two running backs on the same team to have 30 plus point games, but I guess he's banking for that. Jamar Chase against Green Bay too. I heard Jair Alexander's out or he's hurt. I don't know if that was like an injury or not. I've been hearing that from a group chat I was in, but I don't know if that's really the case. But if so, that's huge for Jamar Chase. And then Hassan Reddick against Philly. I mean, he's been playing well all year, so that's a good matchup. Nick Bolton and Anthony Brown is his two other defenders. Just kind of hit or miss, I guess. I don't really know about Nick Bolton. I mean, he hasn't played well the last two games, so Hunter by like a good bit here.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I know like the website was giving John a 1% chance to win, where they're giving Zach a 9% chance to win. I don't see how that's possible. I would put money on John winning before I'd put winning on Zach winning this week, because Hunter's team is night and day way better than Zach's team, which kind of sucks for Zach, but I also think he's kind of in rebuild mode. I mean, like you said, Nick Bolton has done nothing really all year, so and that might be one of his. No, I was about to say one of his better defensive players. That's not true. Yeah, Hassan Reddick has had a really good year, so but still, it doesn't matter. I mean, give me Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter and champions, pretty wide margin.
Yep. All right, we'll keep it rolling out to the next one. We got Afternoon Delights for Slapdicks here. There actually is a little bit of a history between you guys, Jordan. Afternoon Delights is on a 2-game win streak. Slapdicks last week, they played each other twice. First time 2015 week 5, and Austin's first year in the league. Austin won 165 to 154, and then Jordan won in the wild card last year and beat him when it counted 225 to 212 in a relatively close game there. I hate to do this, and Big Oz told me, like he said, I'm not throwing in the towel yet. He's still in it for 2021. He's not quitting on his team yet, and he put a lot of work into this offseason to get the team to even where it is now. But not having a real running back, man, hurts. So he's putting Latavius Murray in the lineup to mix things up after Myles Gaskin. I said it right. No one can say I didn't. I said it right. I read it from the screen.
You got it.
He's got him in the lineup, or he's got him on the bench. Sorry, Gaskin has just been kind of a letdown all year. But I'm looking at it. I mean, Taylor Heineke, Jordan is looking good this year, but I think he could probably keep pace with Justin. Nick Chubb's definitely going to be better than Murray this week. Deontay Johnson versus Calvin Ridley. I'm actually going to go Ridley in that matchup. Brian Burns versus Eagles versus Chris Johnson, then going against Buffalo. Give me Burns. Then you got Campbell, which I don't think we're at any risk of Campbell regressing yet because of Jalen. I don't think we're going to see Jalen
not
really
this
make a
week.
difference for probably another 2 weeks. So I think Campbell should be solid against Cincinnati. But Christian Kirksey against New England, man, I just never trust a linebacker against the Patriots ever because they don't run a traditional offense at times. You got Jamal Adams going against, I almost said St. Louis, had to catch myself, L.A., and then you've got Eric Wilson going against the Panthers. I do think Eric's going to have a good game. He might even be able to keep pace with Jamal. Who knows? Then Adrian Amos going against Cincinnati versus Budda Baker, and Budda Baker's Budda Baker. I think this game could be close if Slapdicks had a running back. The win probability is in favor of Jordan right now by 56% to 44%. I think Jordan, you're going to win this game. You'll be 2-3 by the end of the week.
I agree.
Yeah, I love this matchup. One thing I want to say is that the loser of this matchup will definitely be making a trade next week to probably sell, because like I feel like both of these teams are in a similar situation where it's like, they have like great teams with a bunch of talent, but they're, this could be a 1-4 start. So
You're right.
these are two
You're
of the
right.
better 1-3 teams for sure. So I'll be interested to see what happens in this matchup. But
Everybody can score track my game. If you see me going down, hit my line.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and as Pat mentioned earlier about Big Oz not selling yet, I'm sure another loss might push him over the edge there. So, and I'm predicting that to happen because I'm taking Jordan. So
Okay. Cool.
afternoon delights. I got to start saying the team names. I'm awful at that.
Jordan, did you make your pick?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
gonna pick myself.
Okay. Now it's Curse. It's three in favor of you.
We are stronger than the curse.
So next up, we've got Tua Girls in 1 Cup versus Eastside Brawlers, a veteran and oldest member in the league. That's my dad, for those that don't know. Versus Eddie, who is probably the youngest person in the league, maybe, I would imagine, and is a rookie GM as well. There's no history between them. Both teams have kind of struggled this year, although Eastside's coming off a win this year, his first win of the year. Eddie's trying to get his first career win. This is a good chance to get it versus a veteran owner and one who's actually won a championship before. It's a good statement game. Jordan, I think you're breaking this down.
Yeah, I'll break this down. And
Break
first
it
of all, you don't look a day over 35, Mr. Nudes. But yeah, so we got Kirk Cousins, newly acquired Kirk Cousins, right?
That's right.
Right, you just
Yeah.
got him, yeah.
Yep.
Newly acquired.
I like that, Kirk Cousins.
Also newly acquired, more
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah,
he was around a few times.
I'll keep going down. But yeah, Sam Darnold, I do like that play. He's played way better than I think most people would have expected. The biggest surprise on the year with him is the rushing help that he's putting up, getting in the end zone. But how healthy is McCaffrey? Joe Mixon is going to be
Yeah.
big this week, and I don't know if y'all know the extent of his injury, but
I doubt he plays this week, but
I think he's
I heard
going
it's gonna be week to week. So that shows you like what it
Yeah.
is. Like, it's almost like CMC's, but with an ankle.
I almost feel like he's going to need Joe Mixon to play to pull this off. Miles Sanders, if you would ask me this 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, "Oh, the Panthers, they're gonna mess him up." But like literally, the Cowboys gave us a wake-up call and told us they were going through the A gap and went through the A gap. So yeah, I don't know about that. I would hope it's just an anomaly with Zeke and we get our stuff together. But Miles Sanders could possibly have a nice day rushing if we're going to be that soft. Amari Cooper, you got to like him. He just acquired him too. Like we said, we're going to say that a lot. I like him against the Giants, although he hasn't been quite targeted. Their receivers are very similar, very like capable guys, just haven't received the targets that anyone expected. I think more so Amari, but Robbie, everything was expected out of him, being former teammates with Sam, but he's barely been targeted after the first week. So very similar matchup there. It'll be a boom or bust at that receiver position. Chandler Jones versus Cameron Jordan on the defensive end. I like both of those matchups. I feel like Cameron Jordan could probably get to my starting quarterback, Taylor Heineke. We know Jones can get to a quarterback, and he may potentially be going after a rookie quarterback in Trey Lance this week. And after what he did week 1, I wouldn't be surprised if he had what he does. You know what I mean? That was crazy. But Kenny Young versus Tay Crowder at linebacker. I'd say that's pretty even. I would probably slightly lean Kenny Young. But if Zeke decides to get rolling again, Tay Crowder might find himself busy too. Trayvon Diggs, he is a great player. And the only reason I'm going to say he's not going to do as well as he had been, just because there's no way possible. This guy has 5 interceptions in 4 games. No way that can keep up. And I just feel like Daniel Jones and the Giants are gonna do something that everybody hasn't been and try to avoid that entire side that he's on. So he might see a little dip in Diggs. I'm not saying don't start him just because he's been on fire, but I could see his numbers dropping. And then you got what is that? Ildelon Roberts. I don't even
Brandon
know much
Roberts.
about Miami linebackers. So do you guys know if he's been playing well or not?
He had one good game. I'm not really huge on him at all, but yeah,
Yeah.
he had a
So
game against the Raiders.
He
A big one.
he had
I think he had
6
a turnover.
tackles in week 3, and last week he had 6. So he's been consistent tackle wise. The reason why he exploded though in points in week 3 was because he had a forced fumble and a pick. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so I don't really see that maintaining either, especially against an offense like Tampa with Tom at the helm. Not too many turnovers happen.
yeah,
But and then last safety spot, you got Malcolm Jenkins versus Landon Collins. They're playing each other on the field and in the fantasy world. So those will be important. Landon will be in the box, trying to stop Alvin in that run game. Malcolm Jenkins, uh, I feel like he could possibly create a turnover. He won't need to be in the box as much, just because the run game isn't that strong. So I could see him having to cover a combo of Logan Thomas and J.D. McKissick. So that's the breakdown of the matchups, and I'm going to give the lean. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to go Mr. Nuge and say he gets it done. And I'll say this is the first week Sam Darnold makes effort to target Robbie just because there's been a lot of news of unhappiness, and I don't think that's what they want. And I'll say, as great of a player as he is, the Giants try to avoid Diggs completely. He may get a couple tackles, but no way he comes out with multiple turnovers again. But I could be wrong. So Eastside Brawlers for me.
same. I'm
Okay.
going east side here. I think Miles
Wow.
Sanders actually rebounds. And I actually do like Tay Crowder against the Cowboys. I think he's going to have a 30-point game easily. I think Roberts is going to get points from tackles alone, not turnovers. Mid 20s probably, and Landon Collins will outperform Malcolm Jenkins, because I think Landon has a good shot at getting a pick this week.
Yeah, wow, that surprises me. I'm going two girls, one cup by like a good bit. I don't like any of Eastside Brawlers matches. I mean, Anderson hasn't gone over 20 all year. Sanders is split in time with Gainwell pretty much at this point. Kenneth Gainwell's played amazing. Not huge on the defense. Like, it just I think it's two girls, one cup by a good bit. But I could see, I guess Mr. Nuge winning this, but I'm gonna go with two girls, one cup.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep it rolling. We probably do need to pick up the pace a little bit because we got 3 more to go, and we're over an hour in. So our next matchup, we got Step Bros Fantasy Company versus Steel Curtain. No history there. Step Bros. He's been in the league. This is his first year. He's a rookie GM. He started off hot. He's 2-2. That's still very respectable. Cody got his first win of the season that we talked about earlier. So let's hear. I almost said Armando again. Let's hear Mafali's breakdown of this matchup.
Yep. So
Let's just have Armando on next week.
I
Like,
know.
well, the first matchup's easy because it's Aaron Rodgers versus a maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. But even if Jimmy played, it's definitely Aaron. But Jimmy might not even play this week, so that's an easy one. Hunt. Oh, I'm going to go Barkley over Hunt. I mean, Hunt's had a great 2 weeks, but eventually, that's going to fall off a little bit. I mean, he's been getting in the end zone, which has been big for him, but how consistent is that? I'm going to go DJ Moore over Mike Williams. I know Mike Williams has been playing amazing this year, but I think he'll slow down a little bit. And DJ Moore just so consistent. I think that's your guys' most consistent player now that McCaffrey's hurt. TJ Watt. Well, actually, I see Matt as his flexes. We'll get to that in a little bit because it's a receiver, but it's weird. But D end, it's Khalil Mack versus TJ Watt, which I'm going to give the edge to TJ Watt for sure. I mean, the guy is the best defensive end, fantasy wise, and it's not even close when he plays. He just puts up major points at that position. Jerome Baker versus Denzel Perryman. I actually am going to go Denzel Perryman here. I mean, he's been playing just great all year. I mean, how can you not go with him at this point? He's just been absolutely crushing it. And I think it was such an awesome pick for Matt because it was so random. when he was on the Panthers, and it was like, oh, is he even gonna get on the field? And now he's with the Raiders, and he is just tearing it up. So, and then safety wise, you got DB wise, you have Patrick Surtain, great corner for Denver, who's actually been playing pretty well fantasy himself. So,
He did not
and then,
practice.
Cody's got Derwin James, and I'm going to definitely lean Derwin James on that. And Cody's only has 6 players in right now, so it looks like he's still deciding on his flex. But it's going to be his flex versus Travis Kelce, who is a great. Obviously, Matt's been going 2 wide receivers all year, and he's 2-2, so I could definitely see that keeping up. And Kelce and Mike Williams both having a big game versus whoever Cody starts at flex. So he makes it tough because he's not showing who he's going yet. So, but I'm going to have to lean. I'm going to go Step Bros Fantasy Co. because I think even if he doesn't have Jimmy G, and I think he finds somebody on the waiver, even if he just goes Trey Lance, I think I'm going to go with Step Bros Fantasy Co. on this one.
Okay. I'm going Cody in this. The win probability is in his favor. I'm not crazy about Patrick Surtain being the starting DB for Matt McCarson. So man, I'm gonna go Cody here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cody here, and I'm assuming that he's gonna plug in Quincy Williams into his flex, who's been playing really well, and he scooped him off of waiver wires this afternoon. So I'm just gonna guess he tries to put in a backer, and I'll say Cody pulls away.
Yeah, it does make sense. But I'd still go. I like Kelce this week a lot.
Yeah, I feel you.
Next matchup, saved the best for second to last. It's myself versus Jameson. Jameson's 1-3. I'm 4-0. We've played each other actually a decent amount over the years. This is our 8th time playing. I lead the series 4-3.
You can't break yourself down.
I know, right? It's kind of weird saying that. I'll let you break us down. I'll run through the history. Jameson won.
Well, good thing it doesn't really need to be broken down, but go ahead.
Yeah. Jameson won last matchup, which is week 4, 2020. But yeah, if he wins the series, we'll be tied at 4-4.
Yeah, I'm actually. I know you want to hear about yourself, but I'm not going to spend too much time on guys,
That's
just
good.
to make up for time. But I think Jameson would agree. But I mean, the tank is on. Like, what more can you say? Like, he's literally planning for 2 years from now. So I'm going to say Jalen Hurts has a nice dual threat game. I don't know if we talked about it on air about Marvin Jones, but yeah, you got to like him with the receivers going down. But I'm going to go Leprechauns and let Jameson bask in his tank. And I'm rooting for you in 2023.
Yeah, same. I think Roebuck Leprechauns for sure. I think this is a pretty easy matchup here.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, believe it or not. But I am gonna pick myself. Just like we said, Jameson's tanking. So if I lose, shame on me. But also congrats to him because that'd be a huge upset if he does win. So we got our last matchup now. I guess I can break it down, Jordan, since he broke down that one. Bringing Rexy back versus Once a Janitor. I think it's funny that those are the team names playing against each other. Just a janitor and Rex Grossman, who's basically a janitor, playing each other. No history between them. Rexy is 2-2. Once a Janitor's 2-2. Once a Janitor just lost last week, but CJ won last week to put himself in second in the division, and pulled a huge upset over Jameson. At the time, it was an upset before Jameson sold away all of his assets in this year, for the most part. The win probability is also favoring Once a Janitor at 77%. You got Carr versus Goff. Obviously, you're going to go Carr there. James Robinson versus Austin Eckler. Going to go Eckler. DeAndre Swift versus James Bradbury. I'm still going to go Swift. Then you got Darren Waller versus Adam Thielen. That one actually might be kind of close, so we'll just say it's a wash. Shaq Barrett versus Jonathan Allen. I'm going to go Shaq there. Bobby Okereke, who's been surprisingly well this season, going against Mario Davis. I think that's actually going to be a wash. And then you got Janoris Jenkins going against Kareem Jackson. And I'm going to go Kareem Jackson there. So I think this should be an easy win for Will, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll pick Once a Janitor in Will, but I don't think it would be easy. I think Bradbury is going to have a good game just off the playing some zone and having to eat up tackles when Dak slices them up. But so I think it'd be closer, but I will go Wentz Janitor.
I'm actually gonna go bringing Rexy back. I mean, this is now the third time in a row I think I'm gonna win against you guys, but and it's not intentional. But I'm
That's
gonna go.
why you're here, baby.
Yeah, shout out CJ. I know he said something in the podcast or on the group chat that we don't talk about his team a lot, but a lot of credit to him for getting this team to 2-2 because this was by far the worst team in the league at the end of the season last year.
Oh yeah, he's already like exceeded all expectations.
Definitely.
Yeah. So awesome for you, CJ, man. I hope you're listening, and I'm gonna pick you, man. I'm gonna reward you for just doing an awesome job so far. So, and I like the matchups too. I mean, I know what we say about corners, but I just think with Dallas's offense, Bradbury could be busy. Jenkins can easily get a pick against Trevor Lawrence. I know he did well last week, but I'm telling you, my guy Trevor Lawrence, big fan of interceptions. So, I could definitely see him throwing a few more.
Nice.
He's an aggressive guy, so I'm not gonna take any more shots at him. But yeah, I'm gonna go bringing Rexy back here. So,
all right, cool. Well, that's all we got for week 5, guys. It was a very long episode. Trust me, we feel it at 11 o'clock at night. But thanks for hanging around and listening to the podcast. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Mafali, for helping out with the podcast. We'll catch you guys in week 6.
Peace.
Later.